What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to a brand new video. Now in today's video we're having part 2 of testing out the Swift's fuel efficiency. Now we're going to drive from here all the way to Polokwane, which will represent a more realistic test for this vehicle. In the previous video we drove around locally for a total distance of about 40 kilometers. Now in today's video, the total distance is actually going to be around 242 kilometers. Now the video is going to end when we come back right here on the driveway. So we're gonna head out, fill up the car with some petrol in town, which is Tzaneen town, and drive all the way to Polokwane, drive around Polokwane, then come back home, and that's where the video will end. Now I really do hope you guys enjoy this one. Let's get right into it. So guys, as you can see, the route we're taking is the first option, 1 hour 39 minutes from my house, a total distance of 121 kilometers, meaning we have to double that for the total return trip, and it'll amount to about 242 kilometers. So if we check the amount of fuel we have right now, we actually have 3 bars, and fuel range, side is range, okay, there, fuel range 171 kilometers. So I think I'll fill up the car with about 500 bucks worth of petrol, and let's see how much petrol we have after filling up. I'll also reset the trip computer, and then the journey will proceed. So guys, just filled up with petrol, and as you can see we have a full tank of fuel from 3 bars from just filling up with 500 bucks, and our range is reading 673 kilometers. Now before I head out, I'll actually research the trip computer. I have a bit of a slow puncture, so I'm going to try and get the tire patched up so I can have a proper journey. So I'll catch up with you guys in a bit. So guys, I've sorted my tire quickly. Thankfully that didn't take so much time, and off we go to PLK. One thing I'll say about the Swift is driving around in town, it actually consumes a lot of fuel, especially if you're using the air conditioner. It's just, yeah, it's quite terrible in a way. And a day like today, it's actually quite warm. Don't be fooled by the overcast weather. It's actually quite hot today. But yeah, I've reset the trip computer, and the total trip from here in town is around 90 kilometers or so. So let's see how the car performs, and yeah, let's see how the journey goes. We've just arrived in Polokwane, and from the point of refueling, just open the trip computer. So from the point of refueling, we've driven a total distance of 88 kilometers. But remember, from my house to Tzaneen town, it's around 23 kilometers. So when you factor that in, we've done a total distance of around 112 kilometers, somewhere thereabout. But yeah, we're in Polokwane now, and if we check, fuel range is now sitting on 514 kilometers. Remember when we left the fuel station, our fuel range was on 673 kilometers. So yeah, we've lost a total of, yeah, that's a lot. I'll put the actual number on screen because I can't do the actual maths from the top of my head. But yeah, I think it's over 150 kilometers, and I don't know when we did that number of kilometers. But yeah, it just goes to show that this thing does actually consume a lot of fuel, particularly when you're doing speeds of over 120 kilometers an hour and when you're using the air conditioner. But we still have a good amount of fuel on the vehicle. Average fuel consumption is another one we're gonna have to check. So average fuel consumption reads 5 liters per 100 kilometers, which is, yeah, bang on what Suzuki claim. I think Suzuki claims 4.9 liters per 100 kilometers. So I'm just gonna hang around here, do what I came here for, and I'll catch up with you guys in a bit. So guys, I'm currently exiting Polokwane, heading back home, and the numbers are still pretty much the same. Average fuel consumption 5 liters per 100 kilometers, but our fuel range has dropped drastically, and we're now sitting on 476 kilometers, which is insane. Like I said, when you drive around town with the air conditioner on, the fuel range drops massively. I'll actually put an overlay clip on screen right now so you can see my fuel level in terms of the number of bars and all of that. But yeah, let me soldier on, and by the time we get home we would have done a total distance of around 240 kilometers. So yeah, let's catch up when we get home so I can do the final conclusion. For now, let's enjoy some B-rolls. So guys, we're entering Tzaneen now, and yeah, it's been a good trip. It's always so nice cruising in the Swift because it's very comfortable and the suspension is so compliant. But anyways, we're not here for that. So far, according to the car's trip computer, since refueling, we've done a total distance of 178 kilometers. As you can see, in terms of the fuel indicator, we have just over half a tank, and our fuel range is sitting at 412 kilometers. Our consumption level is sitting on 4.6 liters per 100 kilometers. That is average, by the way. So I'm actually going straight home now, which is a further, from this point where we are right now, it's about a further 30-kilometer drive. So I'll give you my full conclusion once I get home, and yeah, let's catch up in a bit. So guys, finally back home. As you can see, first let's get the numbers out the way. Now let's first check the total distance we've traveled. So according to the trip computer, we've traveled for about 208 kilometers. Now let's check the average fuel consumption. As you can see, it's sitting on 4.5 liters per 100 kilometers. And our fuel range is currently sitting on 411 kilometers. Now, I do have a couple of things to say. For one, the amount of range we've lost. Remember, when we left Tzaneen, we had a fuel range of 673 kilometers, and now we're sitting on 411. So we've lost 262 kilometers in range, which seems right about on there, because remember when we left here, when I opened my Google Maps, it showed that we're going to travel a total distance of about 242 kilometers, so as to say. So the numbers do actually align. But something that I find strange about this car, I've never actually seen anything above 5 liters per 100 kilometers when it comes to average fuel consumption, considering how much fuel this thing consumes, especially when you drive in an urban environment. I'm questioning the computer, so I don't really know what to think. 4.6 liters per 100 kilometers. Also, if you watch Muzisambo's channel, when he did the video where he took a Swift to Cape Town, I think he averaged around 4.8 liters per 100 kilometers. And in my head, I'm just thinking, how is it possible that I've never seen a number above 5 or 5.5, maybe 6? It just seems too good to be true in a way. But then, hey, there you go. Those are the numbers. That's my average fuel consumption. That's my fuel range. Remember, I paid around 500 bucks in terms of fuel. And yeah, I'm still sitting at well over half a tank, which is quite interesting. But in my honest conclusion, or in my honest opinion rather, I think this car is not as efficient as the Golf. Probably has to do with them having different types of engines, and this one being naturally aspirated, whereas the Golf is actually turbocharged. But with the Golf, you can actually drive from here all the way to Joburg with a fuel range reading around 800 kilometers. By the time you get to Joburg, you'll still have anywhere from 580 to 600 kilometers in terms of range, and doing speeds or averaging speeds that are way higher than you can average in the Swift, in my honest opinion. So I think most people tend to make the Swift seem very efficient because you pay a lot less than other cars to fill it up. Like a full tank in the Swift is around 680 rands with current fuel prices, whereas the Golf actually takes around 1,200 rands to fill up. But I feel like in the Golf, you're more likely to travel more or much longer with the fuel that you paid for than you would in the Swift. A Swift driving from Tzaneen all the way to Joburg, by the time you reach Joburg, you'll be left with anywhere from 2 to 3 bars and a fuel range of about 150 to 250 kilometers. So yeah, it's a much smaller car. It does have somewhat of a smaller engine with a 1.2 liter as opposed to the Golf's 1.4, but ultimately I think it goes down to the Swift being naturally aspirated and the Golf being turbocharged. But anyways, do let me know what you guys think. Get down in the comment section and let's chat. But nonetheless, I really do hope you guys enjoyed this video. Until next time, that's cheers from me.